Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Disabled Future, a series where disabled voices lead the way. I'm your host, Nico, and it is a good day for disability inclusion. Each day, during Disability Pride Month and beyond, I'm amplifying real disabled stories, where we are, where we want to go, and how the heck we're going to get there. Together, I hope. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Todd. Let's dive in. Hi, Todd. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, good to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us about yourself and about your disabled life.
Well, disability as anyone who was born with disability, um, is different. It looks different for each individual. Looking at me, you may not see it. I was born with a cleft lip and palate, so my goatee is there's actually my scars actually separated some. Um, And my hard palate, which is the part in your mouth where if you take your tongue and feel the roof of your mouth, it's real smooth. There's bone underneath that. I did not have that. Mine had to be surgically replaced. So I have had a lot of speech therapy, and stuff like that. I also, I don't know, when I was 18, I had my right eardrum replaced. So my disability has been more oral and ear, nose, throat sort of thing. Um, but even with that, there's still the aspect of growing up. And when you're growing up, people are not nice. There are some who are, and there are not. And I'm Generation X, so it was a different world than it is today. But one thing that I have found, at least when I look upon how I was born, is the word disability. Yes, that's how it's defined and everything. I look at it as more of an ability because to me and other disabled people who I've gotten to know, my wife being one of them, because she was born with bilateral clubfoot and has gone through some chronic conditions. Even right now, I'm from Illinois, Southern Illinois. Right now, I'm in Cleveland because my wife's at the hospital in Cleveland Clinic for chronic conditions. I'm sorry. It opens our eyes to experiences that those born normal or without challenges beyond their control, they don't face. They don't have to go through all the speaking challenges or pushing or wheeling a wheelchair, because I've pushed my wife in a wheelchair many times and stuff like that. You don't face it until you're facing it. And it shows me there's one or two choices that every person has to make with who's born disabled. Are you a victim or are you a fighter? To me, um, I mean, yeah, they even say there's a spectrum with that, but I've seen those who chose more victim mentality and they're very defeated. They're, for lack of a better way to say it, they're more depression reigns and that sort of things. Whereas if you're a fighter, yes, you still battle those stuff, but you have the mindset of this, yes, this is the card I was dealt. I'm fighting on. Um, yeah, so does that adequately answer your question?
Of course, thank you. I really appreciate you letting me kind of into your mindset and insights into how you approach disability. That's really great. So, what does a disability friendly future look like for you?
I thought about that question, and that's a difficult question, but one that how I would approach to answer that is because we don't know what things are, how something feels or is experienced until we experience it. Like with my speech therapy, my hearing aid, and the pros and cons with the half hearing loss. Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's not. But also like my wife's condition with the club feet and the mobility. That when I was pushing her in a wheelchair, whether it was Disney World or just around town, not every store or every place is handicap accessible, even though by law they're supposed to be. For me, I would say advocacy, but also letting those who experience um, the challenges that comes with each disability, and the many I know nothing about, because I have not experienced it, but their voice is more than valid for us to come together. I'm sorry. For us to come together and combine our viewpoints, our experiences, the challenges, the victories, and have a platform, be it social media or even policy changes with the administration and various state, local, regional, federal government to activate those changes. So, like, if there are challenges, and I'm sure there are, um, we give a voice, and not just like one voice at a local protest, well, those are valid, but where it's a continual voice, and we are continuing that, hey, this is a problem, and here's a solution to fix it. And maybe even to take that just one step further is approach it with a business mindset of, okay, here's this challenge, here's a solution, and here's the, be it business benefit, be it I mean, yeah, you can go financial, but also the social. Because if there's a social benefit, then there might be more push or more oomph behind to get that change implemented.
Todd,
I'm sorry.
it's all right. You're not my first guest to refer to like this business case for disability,
Oh yeah,
uh, or disabled consumers as like people wielding purchasing power. So I really respect that.
good.
In your response, I hear a call for greater advocacy, listening to people with lived experience, peer specialists, I guess I would say,
Mhm.
and maybe changing some laws, some legislation. So how do we get to that future that you describe? Do we go all in on adding legislation? Do we have to change mindsets? Is it an education thing? What do you think?
Well, to get there, I guess for me, I approach it the same way I'm approaching mental health, men's mental health for dads, because I've created my own brand. Because when I became a dad, I developed um, mental health struggles with anxiety and stuff like that. So I figured out how to overcome it, and now I'm advocating on social media. So probably the first one is we have to let people have to know there's an issue. They don't know unless they experience it or we advocate. So for the first step, I would say with that, and then hopefully there are, I guess I can see two ways, but it's kind of almost reiterating what I've said is, but maybe we have someone with a business mindset, um, figuring out a solution that can be applied and implement it, or make it as an offering, if that's even possible, depending on, the condition and what the solution is. But also, I think the mass of voices on social media is going to be probably the most effective way because advertising costs money. And that's going to consumers, whereas if we want legislative, we have to go to where the legislatures are. And as citizens in the US, we have that power, but being real, one voice out of what, 7 million billion? One voice, while still valid, isn't strong. But we can get, say, 50,000, then people will listen. Then we'll find out what the procedures are to get petitions and to make influence, maybe get lobbyists on board. Maybe a lobbyist gets on board, and then we have a stronger voice. Then we can be like, okay, how can we implement these policies? And just keep up the fight.
I love that. Approaching a problem from many ways means we can more easily find a solution. I respect that a lot. All right, Todd. I've had a great time getting to know you and learning about your mindset. I think it's really great what you're doing, especially around men's mental health. That's a niche that really needs to be filled and a need that needs to be met. But as we close our time together, I want to give you a chance that you and I, as disabled people, rarely get. That's a chance to brag about yourself, promote something cool you've done recently, or maybe something you're working on right now. You mentioned social media, so if you want to grow your own social media, where can people find you? This is just an open invitation to be your own cheerleader. So let's hear it.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity. So the one thing I've been working on is lifting up dads. It's my brand where I have resources online for dads. Because I was a foster father, and I say was because we adopted our two kids from the foster system. And it was definitely a journey because while most people get 9 or so months to prepare with pregnancy, we had 9 days, literally, and poof, we had a 4-year-old. And now he's 8. 2 years later, we got placed with his sister. One of his sisters was placed, and we adopted her. And it's been a journey, but the honest, real message is, especially for fathers, there's not many resources. And so the two things I would want to promote is my brand. I'm on social media, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Insta, as Lifting Up Dads. That's my handle, Lifting Up Dads. And even my website, liftingupdads.com. You probably need a www in front of that. And I have resources there for men's mental health. I took the tools that I learned through my own therapy and my own overcoming of anxiety and what I learned, and I made it available. It's through online courses. I'm also developing some free downloads, but I'm keeping it affordable because a $500 course, seriously, who can really afford that? I'm capping it at $48. So more affordable than 500 because I've seen plenty of those. And it's a one-time fee. I'm not a subscription based. I'm not some guru. I'm someone who's gone through it. And it's not out yet. Hopefully by the time this is published, or definitely after, at some point, back in March, I gave a TEDx talk at my local university. And it's not published yet, and I don't even know if I can say publicly why, but it's really good. And I say that out of respect to TEDx, but it will be published and it will be promoted many places. When we go off recording, I'll tell you why, just because our this might be published by time, but it also might not. So I'm being cautious with that confidentiality with TEDx. But it's super good. And my TEDx talk title is Redefining Strength, Lifting Up Dads Through Involved Fatherhood, where I talk about men's mental health, policy changes, cultural representation, and just the journey and how dads are going from distant breadwinners to involved fathers. and it's a trend that is continuing, and I'm fully behind and supporting.
Thank you so much, Todd. I can definitely put the links that you mentioned in the video description when this debuts kind of at the end of July. It's
Thank
been
you.
really, of course, it's been really wonderful speaking with you.
You as well.
Thank you. All right, folks, tune in next time. Remember, this is our disabled future, and we're building it one day at a time together. Wherever you go and whatever you do, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Bye.